Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Animate Orange, where I build a lot of 3D metal models and show you how I do it. And today on the table, a limited edition exclusive from Metal Earth. For this one, you have to buy a movie. Today I have Blade Runner 2049. Well, this is the movie, this is the box set, but it comes with the spinner car. So inside, if we open this little box up, you have your Blu-ray movie, and you also have a Metal Earth model. And we're going to put this together today. Let's open this up, see what's inside. I wonder how many sheets it is. It looks like it's maybe one, maybe two. I don't know. I can speculate all I want, but let's open this up, see what's inside, and put it together. Metal Earth spinner. Let's open this up. See, what do we have? Our usual, I'm sure, two Metal Earth sheets, or two metal sheets. Set those aside, and we have two pieces of paper for the instructions. Starting with the first sheet with the now green logo. Open it up to page 1. We have the Metal Earth logo, the newer green logo. You know, that's about the same color as your standard green chroma key background. Just kind of saying. And then we have the line drawing, actually two picture line drawings of the model, and no sheet underneath, so that's different. 3R or 360 view with the QR code and the web address, which takes you to the unique page for this model, unique sort of hidden page. We have one of the parts with a description or indication of the insertion tabs, insertion holes, and fold lines. We have the legend here with, you see an E pointing at the side of a part. It's pointing at the engraved side. There's usually engraving there. NE is a non-engraved or shiny side, usually, oftentimes. The hand is an attention point. They're trying to get your attention to something in particular. Usually the way something lines up, like a tab needs to be pointing in this direction or on this side. Sometimes in some models there's a description that goes with it that tells you what you're paying attention to. The blue circle, that's very old. That's been on the model since the start. In the instructions, when you see that next to a connection point, it's telling you to insert a tab and fold it over 9 degrees. Those make a neater look. Green triangle is to insert a tab and twist it 9 degrees, which is not as neat a look, but it's a more secure connection. Usually the folded ones are on the outside and the twisted ones are on the inside. And then assembly tip, if needed, slightly twist tabs to hold parts together, then untwist and bend them down for a nice finish, which I do that from time to time with parts that are difficult to hold together. I may initially twist a few tabs to start building the part, and once it's more structurally sound, untwist that tab and fold it over. Recommended tools: tweezers, needle nose pliers, and clippers. I do strongly recommend a nice set of precision tweezers, clippers to be able to get the parts out without damaging them, and needle nose pliers are definitely very helpful in many situations. And then we have the two metal sheets down here, and I'll grab one as an example. Here's the drawing of this sheet and all the numbers pointing at all the parts, and you'll notice that there are some parts that are colored in. Like these two here, one's labeled 42, the other's not labeled. They're both 42. They're colored in the same color, and that's typically how it goes. They have, so you run into where you have multiple of the same parts, and they'll color them in and just number one. It allows you to find them easier, and it keeps from crowding us up with an extra amount of numbers. And I'm also noticing that the numbers are colored in here, and I'm also noticing over here on page 2, if we slide over, that every number on here is green, and I'm wondering if that's a trend. So if we start at the top of page 2, we have tips: only taking out parts as you need them. Do not, let me flip this over so I can read it better. Only taking out parts as you need them. Do not taking out all parts at the beginning. Having a small container handy to keep parts after taking them out is recommended. interesting. More little tips for you. Now, this is the way I work. Since they brought this up, is I typically clip the parts out as I go. I may clip out the first few parts and lay them on the page and assemble it. I may clip all the parts out in a sub-assembly and then assemble it. But I don't like to clip all the parts out in the beginning. There are people that do, and that's fine if that's your style. I know people that will go through and clip all the parts out and organize them. I know of some people who've gotten magnetic sheets, clipped out all the parts, placed them on the sheets in the order that they were clipped out on, so that they can just build and go. And that's fine, whatever method works for you. To avoid confusion, because I'm a clumsy guy and will hit and knock and scatter the parts and then not know what's what, clip them out as I go. But moving on, assembly flow chart, starting with part 1. Bring that over here and fold these down, and over here and add in part 2. And then down to the next line with part 3, adding that on, and you just follow the arrows, adding on the parts, and paying attention to the sub-assemblies. Sometimes you've got, like here, 4 and 5 come together with 2 part 6s. You finish that up and then add it on here, so that's kind of a sub-assembly to the assembly. And you just follow the arrows and the part numbers and the sub-assemblies, work your way down the page, flip over to page 3, and you continue on. And I'm noticing that all of these parts are purple, so that's an interesting strategy. Over on page 4, everything seems to be blue, and just follow the arrows. Interesting how they've done that. They've kind of broken up the colors by page. Might make finding things a little easier. Let me flip over to page 5, and I see that everything on here is red, and we just continue following the assemblies and sub-assemblies and arrows. And moving over to page 6, it is also all in. Well, no, there's a blue piece here, and everything else seems to be in red. And we just go down the page, moving over to page, flipping over to page 7, and we've gone green and purple, and kind of losing the consistency here. We're almost done. Over to page 8, last few parts. Looks like a couple of black parts and some random colors, and we are all finished with the build. Let's take a moment to talk about the tools that I use. This is my standard set that I use in most every build. I have long needle nose pliers and flat nose pliers, useful for a variety of different things. I have flush clippers that I use to cut the parts off the trees. It makes it quick and easy. And then I have some precision tweezers, one with a very pointed end, one that's had the pointed end ground down slightly, and one with a flat, sort of curved end. Great for getting into curved areas. And then I have a standard set of tweezers with an angled tip. These come in one of the Iconics models, and I love them and use them a lot. When it comes to shaping rounded parts, there are many options. I used dowel rods for a long time. I sharpened the ends of 2 of them with a pencil sharpener. These 2 are great for making cone shapes. Another option is a cheap drill bit set. This set has quite a few different sizes to choose from. Another option is a set of step mandrels. For shaping ball shapes or dome shapes, I've got this fondant set, I believe it's called. I found it by accident, but essentially it's got different sized spears on the end of a stick, so it's easy to hold on to it while you put a part on it and shape it around, unlike a bead or marble that could accidentally pop out from under you and cause problems. Ring pliers or round nose pliers can be found with jewelry making tools and work wonderfully for curving delicate and or hard to get to areas. And we've looked over the instructions, we've got our metal sheets, some basic tools to get started. Let's put this together.
These tabs on these little parts are so close together I had to pry them apart a little with the pointed tweezers to put enough space between them to grab and twist. In this first instance, I pushed one tab so far over I just bent it instead of twisting it. I forgot to bend down a couple of flaps before putting on the last assembly. The metal here is very thin. It's a small challenge to bend the right thing and not bend everything else. Part 17 almost confused me. I suggest using the tweezers or pliers to solidly hold the thinner areas when trying to bend sections to keep from warping them. I used the side piece of the chair as a template to help shape the seat and back of the chair. There seemed to be too many fold lines under the chair, making it a tad confusing to figure out exactly where to bend the joint between the bottom of the seat and the back of the seat. Use the side piece to determine which one to bend at. That's what I did. I used the round nose pliers to shape the headrest of the first seat. I did not really like how it turned out. The problem with these round nose pliers is that they are tapered, and longer parts like this don't bend the same on both ends. I still use my fingernails a lot to bend over tabs. When folding down the sides of the dash, I didn't fold the sides all the way. I left it open so I could slide the bottom part in and then push the sides over the tabs. I also folded the connecting tabs instead of twisting them to create a neater look and possibly making more room for it to fit later. At first I expected part 32 to just curve around in a complete circle, but it's more of a U shape. Figuring out how to bend part 34 can be a tad puzzling. The strip that sticks out is really not that complicated. There are two pieces that bend down that help show you what angles to bend some of that strip, and the last angle you'll kind of figure out once you connect the part to the side door. It will make more sense. It will be helpful to bend these tabs in so that they all point towards the next connection, otherwise you're going to have a difficult time lining up the tabs with their slots. I bent these tabs outwards thinking that would make a neater look, but then I realized it would get in the way of the next part. I bent them inwards instead. I was concerned that there would not be enough room if I twisted them. These tabs holding on part 38 were so close to the side of another part that I had to pry them out before twisting them. Make sure you put the wheel so that it hangs off the bottom just a little. I bent the tabs on part 44 up a little to help them more easily slide into the angled slots. I thought I would be okay bending these two inside tabs over. Later, I find out I am mistaken. You really want to get something in there and twist these tabs securely. It's not the easiest thing to do, but otherwise it very well may come apart later, like it does on me. I'm using my pointed tweezers to pull the tabs out away from another part so that I can grab them with the slightly ground down tip tweezers and twist them. I should have added part 55 on before connecting the two halves of the front wheel area together, but the following experience did show that I had a weakness in the front folded over tabs underneath. I decided to twist these inside tabs this time, seeing as how easily they came loose being folded over. The drill bit was almost the right size to shape part 60, but just a tad bit too big. One of the steps on the smaller step mandrel, though, was well suited. Be sure to take note here which way the engraved side faces when you add parts together and when you fold 62 and 63. I initially made a mistake folding part 62 and had to correct it. Luckily, nothing broke, but as small as those parts are, that could easily happen. With tabs close together like this that needed folded over, a little trick I use is to pinch the two tabs together. Usually one will fold in almost completely and the other maybe a little bit, but typically both will be easier to bend and push in all the way and secure. When adding the sides, I suggest starting at the rear and bending in the two side rear tabs. This oddly shaped side piece got in the way of one of the tabs. I had to pinch and push it over. Once again, the folded over tabs on the inside of the front end show their weakness and come apart. I wasted a little over 5 minutes trying to repair this area without taking the side completely off or breaking anything. I'm not going to show every part of that here, but it was a pain. I of course edit these Metal Earth build videos to keep them from being exceptionally long. I cut out parts where I'm studying the direction, as well as repetitive steps and some areas where I have to make multiple attempts or adjustments to get parts to fit together or align properly. It might make it look like this build is a little easier than it is. You can take a lot of trial and error and readjustment to make these models come together. So I always say, be patient and take your time. As I was cutting out the last part, I noticed on the sheets there were still some other parts, most of them being small spare parts, but one stood out. I realized I'd missed something. Part 13 to be exact. Good thing it wasn't too late to add it on.
And it's all done. Finished, complete. Check out that neat little car with no apparent engine. Now, I believe this thing flies. I haven't actually seen the movie yet. Still need to, I want to review the first one because I've only seen bits and pieces of the first one, first Blade Runner. And I want to see that. And it's stuck at the library right now. They were closed yesterday. But anyway, the model is all done. Finished and complete. Pretty cool. Challenging little build. I wouldn't say ridiculously so, but I did have a lot of interesting luck with pieces popping out of my tweezers and almost disappearing, and a few of the parts were surprisingly, I don't want to say difficult to bend, but they were resistant. But it was a fun build, and I did enjoy it. It's a really neat looking model. These weird shapes, like on the side right here, intimidated me a little bit. They reminded me of the Kawasaki, and that one was tough to put together. But yeah, and look, it's a Peugeot, I believe, is how you say that. Did not realize that. Pretty cool. Now this model took about, well, it took a little over 3 hours to build, so it did take some time. And just like any model, just take your time and slowly check behind yourself and look ahead in the directions, and you should do pretty good. And as you're building it and shaping different parts of the body, like the roof and the doors, it's kind of a mystery exactly how the folds and how much to fold things until you get closer to the end and things start to come together. But it's really, as you're building it, as you're trying to shape the top roof piece and the window, and as you're trying to shape the side pieces, don't worry too much about exactly how far they bend, because as it begins to come together later, you'll see it and it'll be easy to finish shaping it and things will just pull together. At least they did for me. It does look a little bit odd without having any windows because, you know, it's a Metal Earth model. What are they going to do? And the fact that there's no engine bay here, it does look a little bit odd just as a Metal Earth model, but it's not hard to imagine. It is pretty cool looking and just neat. Just check that out. And there's no steering wheel either. That's kind of wild. I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions or comments, as always, feel free to leave them down below. If you like this video, you want to see more build videos in the future, more interesting builds, consider supporting this page. Check out the description down below for a couple of different links and options of how you can do that. As always, thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.